Hello, hello, everybody, and welcome to the first edition of the Community Spotlight. Today we are joined by none other than Randall Thor 19 himself to talk achievements and a little bit about his gaming journey. This is a show that was designed to turn the focus back onto the gamers themselves so we can get a little bit of a clearer look at who these people are who actually make up the gaming community, the Xbox community, who we've got today with one of our favorite achievement hunters, Randall, or Rand as we call him around here. So I'm joined today also by my man GKB. We might have PTK Blam coming in a little bit later. She-Wolf should be in a little bit later as well. So GKB, would you like to say anything before we get started?
Yeah, just hey guys, glad to be here. Always like talking games and hearing what Rand has to say about achievements, so I'm down.
Sweet deal. And how are you doing today, Rand?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Awesome, of course, of course. So to go ahead and get started, Rand, what is it, like dig all the way back there, all the way, what is it that really got you started about gaming? Like, was there a specific game when you were a kid, or what was it that got you started into gaming?
Um, so if I got to dig all the way back, right? So I'm 35, so uh,
I'm
you
right
like
there
to
with you, brother.
you like to say to people, well, my first system's NES, but it's not necessarily true because I think my first
No.
system, the Nintendo is like my first system I remember, right?
Hmm.
I did have the Commodore 64, and I think I had the ColecoVision, if I'm not mistaken.
Cool.
But I don't remember anything about those systems. So
They were
what
just
I
kind of
remember is the birthday I got the NES from, right? I got the Nintendo, which came with like the triple pack, Duck Hunt, Mario Brothers, and the track and field game, right?
Oh yeah, man.
oh yeah, what else do you need?
I know, but I remember the first time I saw an NES at a friend's house, and it was Punch Out, and I was like floored, right? Like I'd never seen something like that, and I like told my parents I wanted that system. Uh, so yeah, I mean, like my first love was Nintendo, and I had my grandparents were very, very nice. And, of course, keep in mind I'm a young kid at this point in time, so every Christmas they probably would get me like 20 to 30 games. So
Wow.
by the time you know uh, the next generation came along, the Sega Genesis, which is one my parents and grandparents bought from me, I had like 100 Nintendo games.
Wow.
So
Dang.
So you've always kind of been in that flow.
yeah, I've always been like a huge gamer. I've always had a lot of games. Same thing with Genesis. My parents, um, because when you're a kid like that, like when you're not decide, like so I went from Nintendo to Sega. Like it was a choice, like essentially my parents made for me.
Hmm.
I got the Genesis, the 32X, the Sega CD, and I had, you know, 80 games for that system. Um,
That's really interesting.
yeah, and eventually, I did get the Sega Saturn and the Sega Dreamcast, but like
Hmm.
I kind of switched over to PlayStation midway around like PlayStation 1, and then I really became like a PlayStation fanboy uh, with the PlayStation 2. Like PlayStation 2 was such a great system,
Yeah.
and I didn't really actually get an Xbox until Halo 2 came out.
It's a
I
good time to get on board.
it was. I mean, I was such a PlayStation fanboy. I was like, Xbox? No way. Like, who plays on Xbox,
What
right?
is that?
So I bought into the hype of Halo. I bought the system. I bought the game. And this was actually obviously at this point in time I was working, so I had my own money, so I buy what I want. I had a GameCube as well. Um, I actually had a GameFly account. I still have a GameFly account. I've had a 4-out GameFly plan since 2004. So I just churn games through. Like I always just want to play as many games as I possibly can. So I like to experience as much as possible because I'm one of the type of people that likes to have an opinion on something. Like especially if I play it. Like you go out there and you'll see people um, who'll give you an opinion on a game that they haven't even played yet. And it's like,
Yeah.
bro, you really can't have an opinion. Like I never want to be one of those people. So like, I haven't played a PlayStation 3 game or a PlayStation 4 game, so you won't ever see me give an opinion about it because I've never played it yet. So, um, but going back to like Xbox, I got Halo 2, and it was my first like taste of online, right?
Yeah.
Like I'd never, I think I had some limited experience with online gaming. I think I had Return of Castle Wolfenstein on the PC,
All
and that
right.
was pretty cool. But I never was like fully into it like I was with Halo 2. Like I remember, and I don't really tell this story much, but I'll tell you guys. So Randall Thor 19, right? Like essentially,
Yeah.
my brother, my younger brother, he was the one who wanted uh, the online stuff. Like I bought the Xbox, I bought Halo 2 strictly for the single player, right?
Okay.
He's the one who wanted to play the multiplayer. So I was like, online multiplayer, who plays that, right?
What
Uh,
is that anyway?
so he went out and he bought, because our computer and our router were like really far away from the Xbox, so he went out and bought like 100-foot like Ethernet cable to be able to connect it to. And then the first time you make an account, it asks you, and he's like, well, he wanted to make an account, but the name was taken, so he asked me, he's like, well, what should we name the account? And I was like, Randall Thor, because at the time, Randall Thor, who is the name of the main character in the Wheel of Time series, similar to Game of Thrones, like
Hmm.
like my favorite fantasy like novel series. So like I was like, all right, name him Randall Thor. He didn't know what it was. It was taken, so I was like, whatever, just add a number at the end of it, and he added 19. Uh, and then he was online playing, and I was like, I would sit there and watch him play, and just like I wanted to play like so badly,
I want this
like
too.
I would watch him play Halo 2 online, and it was like he didn't want me to play because he didn't want me to screw up his rankings and stuff. And
Oh,
then
okay.
and then one day he was gone, and I was just like, screw this, it's my system, I bought it, my game, I
Goodness.
bought it, like, and I started playing it and I took it over, and but it's funny that technically my brother made this account, but like, it's mine. He only only ever really played Halo 2 on it, so. Um, yeah, and then from there, you meet like a lot of people. I played Halo 2 every day for a year. Met a lot of friends, and then you kind of get invested in the Xbox like ecosystem.
Hmm.
Yeah, that just kind of happens. Like it's a well-built system, and you just sort of end up being a part of it.
Yeah, yeah, and like I kind of like stopped playing on the GameCube, and I stopped playing on the PlayStation, and I only was really focused. I really couldn't play anything else because all I was playing was Halo. So then the 360 came out, right? And I tried to get one right away, but they were very hard to get, if you remember.
Yep.
Very supply constrained. Um, I was able to pick one up in January of 2016, so like a couple months later, and I picked up Perfect Dark Zero, Condemned Criminal Origins, and Call of Duty 2.
Yep.
But mainly I got it to play Halo 2 because it could upscale it, right, the resolution.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, all right, cool. So that's what I, get it. And popped in Perfect Dark Zero 2, hated it from the first second I started playing it. Like, didn't want to play anything else. I was like, know what? Like, screw this game. I took it out of the system. I don't think I ever put it back in. I only have like 100 points in that game.
That's what I was gonna ask. Did you play it just because of that, or you were like, this game
No,
sucks?
I wanted to play Perfect Dark. I just like I tried playing the campaign, it was terrible. Tried playing the
Hmm.
multiplayer, it was terrible. So I was like, no. But I put in Call of Duty 2, and that's where the love of achievements started because, as I mentioned before, I have a 4-hour plan with GameFly, and I would always play a game, whatever the default setting was. So if it would come to me and the default was normal, that's what I would play it on, and then I would beat the game or the campaign, and I would mail it back, right? Or
Yeah.
I would trade the game in, like either way. So I remember playing Call of Duty, beating the first level, and it was like an achievement, 50 points, I think it is, for beating the level.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Achievements were
oh,
really heavy back then.
yeah. And I was like, what is this? So I looked at the list, and the list was like, beat the levels, and then there was one, a really huge one for like beating the game on Veteran for like 200
Yep.
points. And this was at a point in time where Call of Duty was hard.
Yeah.
So I made the choice to play the game on veteran, which I never had done before. Like I never would play a game on the hardest difficulty setting. So I did it. I got the 1,000. You know, swear
100% of the games.
swear it a lot because the Call of Duty 2 on veteran is difficult,
Yeah.
Very difficult.
especially in comparison to some of the later Call of Duties. And after that, it was on. It was like, all right, man, like I'm into this. Like Condemned, like got up video guides for the collectibles, and then like I already had the GameFly account, so it was just like, just give me all the games, like every launch game, like boom, 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 just send them to me, and I would, get them, and I would finish them, and I would send them back, and that's pretty much how it all started.
You just kind of started chewing through them.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing the same thing I've always been doing, though. It's like, like I had 100 games for Nintendo, 100 games for the Genesis, X amount of games for the PlayStation, GameFly account, just constantly getting games from them. So, I mean, I always just, I just play a lot of games. I've always played a lot of games, Gamer scores is kind of attached to your history now because, like, every game you play, you get gamer scores, so it's just kind of like part of the process.
It just directs you through that experience that you want to make sure you do this along the way and do that to get those achievements.
Right. So I mean that's kind of the story behind it.
Yeah. So you've always been, from the very beginning, you were in a flood of games. You were always surrounded by as many games as there were. And I think that's really cool that led to you like wanting to play all those games. As like I'm going to do all of this.
Right. I was the guy whose friends would always want to come over and like play everything because I had everything,
Yeah.
I had all those games for like you come over and you open up my cabinet and there's like 100 Nintendo games,
Jeez.
And I, as an adult now, you go back and talk to your parents, like they were pissed that my grandparents treated me like that. Like they'd be like, get them 5 games, and they'd give me 5 presents which had like 10 games, in them. So they'd give me like 50,
That's hilarious.
Every game that came out, oh, get it for him. Here it is.
Yeah,
Next
pretty
game.
much.
Hey, Rand, question for you. Most people when they start like on Nintendo or Sega, they usually stick with that brand for a while. What was the decision there to change from like Nintendo going into Sega?
It wasn't like something I decided. Like I said, like at the time I was a young kid, so when I got the Nintendo, that was like I had played it, I really wanted it, so like they got it for me. And I honestly I don't know why they got me the Genesis over the Super Nintendo. I couldn't tell you. I don't know if I told them that, but they got me the Genesis, the 32X and the Sega CD. And that's kind of one sore area I will say is because I've still to this day I've never played a Super Nintendo game ever.
Oh wow.
I've never played a Super Nintendo game. I didn't get a 64, so I've only played a few 64 games, but never the ones that people like say you should play. So like the 64 for me, because at that point in time I was heavy into PlayStation 1. My buddies had a 64, and we would all go over to his house, and we would all play 4-player WCW versus NWO, and play that against each other like all night.
Nice.
But no, I missed out. I missed out on like the Zelda games on the 64. I missed out on every great classic on the Super Nintendo. And that's part of the reasons why I don't have any like emotional connection to Nintendo at all. Like when people talk about Nintendo and like the franchises, it doesn't do anything for me because like I don't have that emotional attachment to anything. Like, oh man, Zelda, oh Smash Bros, oh like Mario, and I'm just like, yeah, so like oh man, Nintendo can't go down. I love all their games. I'm just like, I don't care. I mean, like Super Mario Brothers 3 might be as close to a perfect game as I've ever played.
Absolutely.
But other than that, like I have like no attachments to anything Nintendo's ever done. And some people are like, really? Like, you didn't play this? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I didn't play Ocarina of Time. And I know that's, like, considered one of the greatest games of all time, but I didn't have a 64 because, like, at the time, the 64 came out when I was in high school and I didn't have a job yet. So I was like, I couldn't go out and buy it for myself. By the time I did get a job, like, the 64 was on its way out and the PlayStation was where it is, so like I didn't go back and buy it, with my limited money. Yeah, because people ask me all the time, "What about Super Metroid, man?" I'm like, sorry, man, I didn't have a Super Nintendo.
Yeah, and I think that's really an interesting time that we're in right now. Is that gaming? There's all those things, especially for Nintendo. That Nintendo is still to this day really the evolution of their original first-party franchises. We don't see like a new franchise coming out of Nintendo. Really, it's a lot of the continuation of all of those original guys. So yeah, for guys like you who weren't there at the beginning and who weren't involved from the very start, like what is there over there?
Nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a GameCube because at the time, like, I had a good job and I had a lot of extra money, so I was like, I got PlayStation 2, I got the GameCube, and I got the Xbox. I'll play Metroid Prime. Yeah, like there are games I wanted to play on the GameCube, but it wasn't because like I gotta play Super Mario Sunshine or anything like that or Smash Brothers. It was because like there might be something on there worth playing.
Yeah, there could have been anything. So it really looks like that you're just from having all the games and really like, would you consider it like a completionist sort of feel, or was it just as soon as you started seeing achievements popping up, you were just like, I want to do this?
So I've gamed a couple different ways on the 360. So there was a point in time where I wanted to play as many games as I possibly could and get the most amount of scores I possibly could, right? So I would play and I would get what I would consider a decent amount in the game, and then like research how long it would take me to get the harder achievements in that game, and then be like, this will sound technical, but run an analysis to see if it was worth getting that achievement, and if it wasn't worth it, then I would move on to something else. So essentially, like, if one achievement left in a game, if it takes 40 hours, like, I would decide to, know what, I'll use that 40 hours and I'll go play these 4 other games.
Yeah.
And get other points. I looked at it like that.
That's interesting, Randy, because I'm doing the 100K too, and I find myself doing the same exact thing. Is that just like a natural thing when you're doing like achievement hunting?
Yeah. I mean, there are people who do that who, like, they'll only play a game if they can 100% it, right? So they'll wait for a game to come out and they'll finish it. But yeah, most of the people are trying to get a certain mark and they want to do it like fast. They'll get as much as they can out of it easily, and then like, okay, like this last achievement, like what does this like need to do? And it's like 20 hours. It's like, man, for 20 hours I can go play a couple other games and get more points.
Exactly.
Especially now, like with the indie stuff on the one, 20 hours you could easily play like 5 indie games on the one and get 5,000 points. So yeah, but that changed a little bit for me. Like around 2009ish, I wanted to complete more games of mine. Like, so I like went to like the one game. I would play one game until I was done with that game, and then I would play the next one. Like, that's how I've kept my backlog so low over the course of the years.
Yeah.
It's a little unmanageable now. Unmanageable now. That's mostly because of the ID at Xbox games, but. So, like, Alan Wake would come out, and I would only play Alan Wake until I finished it. And then Red Dead's out. Only play Red Dead until I had everything done. And it just was like that, moving down the line. And I actually kept up pretty well with everything that came out. I mean, I pretty much played every game I've wanted to play, that, like, on the 360.
Yeah.
But yeah, GKB, like, that's totally normal. Like, you'll be like, I want to get to this mark, and I'm gonna play stuff really fast, and then if I can't finish it because this one's too long, like, I'm gonna go do something else. That happens quite a bit. That might change though as you like reach 100,000, and then you're going for the next thing. You might want to be like, well, now I want to do this. But yeah, like I was in that mode in the beginning.
Yeah.
Nice. So having played so many games throughout the years, is there one that really sticks out? Like, would you say you have a favorite game on whatever system that you've ever played?
It's interesting because someone recently asked me that question from Microsoft, and they asked me what my favorite game was of all time.
Yeah.
And then my answer was, that's a tough question to answer because games are always evolving, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a game on the NES, wouldn't really be fun to play now, or like. So
Yeah.
like I always say, okay, like these are the games. Like if you were to go back 10 years ago and ask me what my favorite game was at that point in time, I could tell you. So like for instance, my favorite game on the Xbox One right now, I'll name two: Ori and the Blind Forest and Rise of the Tomb Raider. I think the two best games on the Xbox One currently.
Agreed.
Last gen 360, my favorite game on the 360 is undoubtedly Bioshock 1.
Yep.
Bioshock Infinite's pretty close for me, but Bioshock 1 was a game I paid $150 for to get 2 weeks early, and I was completely blown away by everything because like the reviews hadn't come out yet. It was 2 weeks before the game came out,
Yeah. So you didn't
and
know what
like
you were
I
getting
didn't
into.
know anything about it, and I was like completely like blindsided by how great it was. And I love Bioshock Infinite, and the Dead Space 2. Like there's so many games on the like Mirror's Edge, like. But like when I would say Bioshock was the one that kind of like defined, uh, you
That
know,
emotion, that
right?
change.
Yeah, I mean they're like half like Halo 3 and stuff, but like okay, so I'll keep it Bioshock. Previous gen, so what are we talking? PlayStation 2, Xbox. My
Yeah, 'cause you
favorite
said you played a lot of
PlayStation,
too.
my favorite PlayStation 2 game is probably Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. But like Halo 2 would be eclipse them just because like I played Halo 2 for so long, like the multiplayer. Like when you play that game every day for a year, I have like 10,000 games played in that game. Like that's
Yeah.
clearly like my favorite, obviously.
That's where you live.
Yeah, I mean that's just like it would be in close contention for greatest game ever. Then go
Yeah.
back to let's see what's before that. That would be the PlayStation 1. That'd be easily Final Fantasy 7 or 8. I always kind of like sometimes I'll be like Final Fantasy 7, sometimes it'll be Final Fantasy 8, but it's one of those two because I was really
Yeah.
heavily into RPGs back then. Um, let's
Yeah, and
see.
that's what I mean. Like, you're a good guy to ask about that because really having been so deep in every generation, you get that, like, yeah, like a PlayStation 1 game, like, wouldn't really feel as awesome necessarily today as it did then, but having been through that and seen, really having been in the moment all the way through,
Hmm.
that's a perspective that not that many people have now.
Right, and yeah, and then like Super Mario Brothers 3 and like Punch Out and the Nintendo. But I mean, like, don't even forget the PC, like Half-Life 1. Like, but then there are also games you play that like your mouth hits the floor because you can't believe what you're seeing. Right, I haven't had that feeling in a long time, but I'll tell you like the games that gave that to me. So the first time I saw Super Mario 64, right, like
Yeah.
the very first time, I couldn't believe my eyes. Like I'd never seen anything like that before in my life. And I remember just sitting there transfixed at the demo station, like with the full movement and everything and how it looked and being like, oh my god, this is the greatest thing of all. Now, keep in mind, at that point in time, I was probably like, what, 14, 15, 16, I forget what year it was.
Mhm.
Mind
Um,
blown.
yeah, the first time I saw Grand Theft Auto 3,
Yeah.
because you're so used to at that point, like I've been so used to these like linear structured games, and then you get to a game like Grand Theft Auto 3, and it's like literally an open world and you can do whatever the hell you wanted. Like it was such a foreign concept at the time.
That level of freedom.
Exactly that level of freedom, and I was just like, oh my god. And then the first time I played Half-Life on the PC, like, because at that point, first-person shooters were like Doom or Quake or anything like that. So it was like you'd beat the level and it would be a door, and then you would click on the door to end the level and then start with no one. There was no like flow between levels. And then Half-Life was just like you ride the tram in the beginning, and the tram ride's like 5 minutes, and then like they're like, oh, you got to go do this science experiment. You get your suit and you put it, and I'm like, this is like the coolest thing ever. It's like one continuous story. There's no cuts. It's like
Yeah.
so amazing. But I haven't really like felt that recently. I don't know. It's because like maybe the technology has gotten so uh, like great, like or not great, but like isn't really noticeable the jumps anymore. I mean, we've
Yeah.
seen the transition to 3D, so like that stuff is maybe it's VR. I haven't tried VR yet. Maybe like if I'm at E3 this year and I get to try the VR stuff, like maybe I'll be like, oh my god, like this is the next step, or HoloLens or something like that. But yeah.
Yeah. It'll be like whatever they can figure out there. Because like with the 3D, like even going open world games, like we've kind of seen that. And I think that there's been so many of those now that really the possibilities there have been fleshed out, and we've seen developers do what they can do. And now it's, even though we think we know about VR and like what it's capable of, that's what it's going to be. There's going to be some guy out there who's got an idea, and when that thing hits the stage at whatever convention, it's going to blow everybody's minds. And we don't know what that is, and that's good.
Yeah.
It's good that that's still the mystery out there, because we need more mystery out there in the future. So today you find yourself at 988,120 gamer score, which would put you third in the United States and sixth in the world. Now, when you get to that level of gamer score, where you're single digits on the leaderboards worldwide, I imagine that you know the other people who have that sort of gamer score as well.
Yeah. I mean, Stallion 83. He's been a friend of mine since 2006. We did a lot of co-op games together. We started a podcast together. It's called the Gamer Score Popcast. Did like 140 episodes. We no longer do it, but yeah. I mean, I know him. Smirnoff. Smirnoff's a really great guy. I've exchanged messages with a couple of other ones. Yeah, I mean, people. I mean, you know who they are.
Oh yeah.
You kind of, not maybe anymore, but like back before the cheating and stuff, you kind of like kept tabs on the top to see like the movements and like who would pass who and stuff like that. But then like Microsoft getting rid of all the cheaters kind of changed all that for the better.
Oh yeah.
Then, because they got rid of everybody, and then there was only a few people left standing. So, but yeah, I mean, everybody knows like in the achievement hunting community, for the most part, like most people know most people, because it's kind of a small, you know, like group of people that essentially are like, hunting these things or trying to collect them.
Yeah, like you guys who are the top level of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for the most part, it sounds like you guys are, you're a friendly community in that, like you said, you're playing co-op games with each other. It's not like, like I gotta have the most. You're not necessarily hunting down that guy. It still remains about playing games, and then the achievements flow naturally from that. It's not about the achievements.
No, but I mean, at some point, I mean, obviously, I can only speak for myself. At some point, it might have been all about the achievements for some of them, but for me, I never had any plan. I never wanted to be number 1 or number 5 or any of that stuff. Those things, I mean, being because I was number 5 for a long, 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 long time. Like that wasn't something I targeted. That was just something that happened. I just wanted to. I didn't really want anything out of this. I mean, I didn't start this being like, I'm gonna be like top of the leaderboard type stuff. Like I just kept on. I just like I said before. Like I just have always played games and played a lot of them. I mean, that's what I've continued to do on the 360 and the One. I just play a lot of games, and you play a lot of games. You get a lot of gamer score. So yeah, I mean, like you make a lot of friendships. I mean, I've made a lot of good friends. That I talk to daily, and have been since like 2008. Like we play games together, play co-op games, boost multiplayer stuff to get those achievements, and you form those friendships. I mean, that's essentially what it's all about. I'm not like I'm not like on an island by myself out here. I have people that that I care about, that care about me, and that's what essentially is the best part about it all, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
is that you have people's backs and they got yours.
Is that you find that love of achievements, and then given the fact that the Xbox community is one that exists worldwide, you just naturally are connected with like-minded people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's awesome, and that purity of devotion is a big part of why I really wanted to have you on the show today, because I feel like whatever these subcultures we look at, be it achievements or whatever else, we find that it seems like it all flows back down to just a love of games. From when you're talking to the right people, it all flows back down to a love of games, which is so awesome to hear.
Yep, I just love video games, man. Always.
So GKB, She-Wolf, did you guys have anything you wanted to add right now? Do you have any questions for Rand or?
Yeah, I have one because Rand touched on it, and I thought that was a pretty interesting thing. Is how does one cheat at achievement hunting, and what did Microsoft do to get rid of some of those guys?
Okay, that's a good question because I always bring this up when when you talk about the history of achievements, you have to bring this up because it is a part of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So back, let's see. So when you go back and to like 2005, early 2006, there's a website called mygamercard.net. It collected all the profiles on Xbox and actually had a leaderboard, right, of the gamer score, and you could actually see where you actually were placed among everybody, right? And then people saw that, and naturally, some people wanted to be like number one or whatever.
Okay.
So there was this intense battle for those top spots. And at the time, 2005 or 2006, there weren't a lot of games to choose from as there like now. I mean, like now there's hundreds, thousands of games, between the one and the 360. So you had to not only like get the same games as everybody else, but you had to complete those games because if you wanted to be number one and there's only 20 games out, well, you got to get those 20 games and you got to complete those 20 games because someone else is going to, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So as like each new game came out, like you would see everybody play that game and everybody try to finish that game. As one person would import a Japanese system to get the Japanese stacks, all of a sudden you see those other guys also then import those Japanese systems to do that. It was a really intense battle. Like people were like, took us seriously. There's pride in it and stuff. I liked watching it. Like I wasn't like a part of it essentially because like I kind of started a little bit later, right?
Okay.
But I was on the sidelines and watching. But then strange things started happening. People started completing games a little too fast. And then what I mean by that is like if, I play a game and say it takes me 10 hours to beat, but then someone beats it in 8, I'm not going to be like, well, you cheated because you did 2 hours faster. Of course not. That's
Right.
not what I'm
Yeah.
saying. It's more like it takes me 10 hours to beat and then you beat it in 1. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's impossible.
Right.
That's that because I mean I'm not saying like I have the greatest skill when it comes to games which I don't like there are some games I can't play but I know like how long some things should take, right? And if you're telling me you completed a 10-hour game in 1 hour, I'm like there's something fishy going on about that. So you look around like, man, how did that person do that? And then like more people start doing it, you're like, what the hell is going on? There's no way this game took me 10 hours. And then you talk to somebody else, and you'd be like, how long did it take you to beat, this game? Like, oh, it took me 12. And you're like, all right. And like, but then that person would be like, but you see these people? Like they're booting it up and beating it on an hour. I'm like, I know, right? Like, what the hell's, are we dumb? Are we missing something? Like, what is going on? And that went on for a little bit. And then eventually word got out that there was this website. I forget the name of it at the time. I want to say it was called 360gamesaves.com. So essentially what you could do was you could upload your saves to this website. So for instance, like say Cameo, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would like have a save at the very end of the game, and then you would take that save and somehow upload it to the internet, and then post it on this website, and then people could then download that save and somehow get it on their 360 using a transfer tool or something like that.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then they would be at the end of the boss, and they'd beat the boss, and they would like get all the achievements in the game.
Wow.
It would
And
unlock
that's-
all of them.
Yeah, I mean, not some of them would unlock all of them, but some of them wouldn't. But like that's how that stuff works. So then like you'd be like, oh, now this makes sense. Like I understand now.
Mm-hmm.
But like you couldn't prove it to anybody, like who was legit. So like Stallion, he was very vocal against people cheating and stuff, and like I'm legit. I sided with him, and I'm like, I'm legit. I think all you guys cheating are lazy, and you have no self-respect. I mean, why would you want to like cheat in something like this? It doesn't make any sense. Like it's supposed to be, and so there was fighting back and forth. They're like, Microsoft's never going to do anything, blah, 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 blah. And then, like, it became different. Then there was profile glitching, which became very popular around the time Gears of War came out, like, a little bit after Gears of War, so, like, 2007. So what you could do with profile glitching was, like, say, Asthmatic, you got 1250 in Gears, right?
Yeah.
And you have that seriously 10,000 point achievement, right? Which gives you that, or 10,000 kill achievement that you had to do online, and it gives you that gamer pick. So people found out that you could do, and actually people found out because of the way you could get into the Modern Warfare beta, that original one was, so I download your profile, or the profile that has the 1215 gears, right? Download it onto my Xbox. I load up that profile, sign in on that profile, start up gears. And when it's at the main screen, I sign out of your profile, sign into my profile, who has like nothing in the game, and then
Yeah.
start it up, and it would unlock all the achievements for me that was on yours.
Wow.
So like all of a sudden you see people do gears. Now my memory may be a little bit hazy, but I believe these are how things worked. Like I may not be 100%, so forgive me if like it's a little bit different, but that's essentially like how I remember it. Or I mean, it may not be 100%, but that's like
Right.
kind of what it was. So you see all of a sudden people just had like you would see the seriously gamer pick everywhere, and it's like you'd look and like there's no way these people did this stuff.
Yeah, you're like, that's really hard to accomplish.
Yeah, and like it cheapened the achievement, and people were flaunting it and stuff like that. It was just like, okay, whatever. And then it's straight up like you could just mod your gamer score. You could just literally just like go like somehow and just like give yourself all the achievements in the game and whatever. But and then you didn't have to do anything, so it was just like people were just giving themselves all this gamer score, and the leaderboards were just like all just fucked up because
Yeah,
like nobody knew who was legit and who was a cheater. I mean, you could kind of tell who was, but they were all just like, no, Microsoft's never going to do anything. And then I remember a podcast that Major Nelson was doing with E where they were like, hey, we know what's going on. Like, we don't like it. Stop. And, like, the following week, I get a message from somebody like, they did it. I was like, what? And then you, like, log on and, like, everybody, like, those people's gamer scores were reset to 0. Their
Oh my
profile was
gosh.
labeled as cheaters.
Oh my god.
And they
Wow.
just kept on doing it. So like it was great because now he's like, oh my god, Microsoft cares. And then now I could see my real position among everybody else. And what like the people who were very vocal about being legit like were left standing, and everybody who cheated were swept to the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I admit like I didn't think Microsoft was going to do anything. I didn't think they would care. So I was of the opinion like they're not going to do anything. They don't care. And then like to this day, like I will eat as much crow as people give me for that thing because like I am so happy Microsoft decided to protect the system, because if they didn't, I mean, let's be honest, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you because like there would already be 100 or 300 people who would hit 1 million just because of the cheating and stuff, right?
Hmm.
And
So
then
it's
hitting
only
1 million wouldn't really mean as much.
well, yeah, exactly. Hitting hitting 1 million in a couple years isn't going to mean that much anyways. Just like I remember when the first person hit 100,000, got a lot of praise and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But like now 100,000, no offense to GKB, but like it's not seen as
It's not an
and
insult.
no, I don't mean it as an insult. And I know he's working at it hard, and everybody's gamer score is their own, and I respect anybody's like gamer score, but you know like 100, like back then 100,000 was like great, but like now nobody congratulates you for 100,000.
Yeah.
Now it's just like because there's so many games and so much score out there, it's kind of just like like I'm trying to think of the right word, but um I would say like the maybe the 1 million is the new 100,000. I don't know, because eventually a lot of people will have 1 million or whatever, but
Right.
no, I've never. I mean, I don't want to like. I've never looked down on somebody for having less gamer score. I mean, that's the question I constantly get all the time. It's like, no, like I know people have their own lives and stuff, and like I don't care who, like if your gamer score is 5,000, it doesn't matter to me. Like what matters to me is if you're a good person and if you just like playing games. Like I don't, like that stuff has never mattered to me. Like, cause some people, there are people at the top, and there's a specific person who I will not name, who does think
Right.
that gamer score means the world, and if you have less than him, then you're a pile of trash.
Yeah, there's always going to be those kind of people.
Yeah, well, there always will be, but
I'll be around.
yeah. So like, kudos to Microsoft for getting rid of the cheaters,
Absolutely.
protecting the system, because Sony didn't do that for them. Like Sony just didn't give a shit. Like people cheat their trophy stuff all the time. Sony's never done anything.
Still to this day, you mean?
Yeah, still to this day, they don't care about that. So yeah, I mean, there's like a long sordid history of cheating, and it was a tough fight. Credit to Stallion for like he was very like stand up and like fighting against those guys and like demanding like Microsoft fix this and like all that stuff, and he got shit on a lot, and at the end of the day, you know, his crusade, as you would call it, like
He won the battle, man.
he won the battle. You know, there you go. Yep.
That's fantastic. Dude, that's such a great story.
Hmm.
That's awesome just to hear that history, to know that, like you said, Microsoft really stands by and that they make this happen.
Hmm.
There's
Absolutely.
things behind closed doors that people don't realize Microsoft is actually doing for them.
Yeah, Microsoft cares. Microsoft cares, like, you know, I mean, granted, Microsoft as a corporation may not care, but like the people, their individual people at Microsoft care. Like
Yeah.
they know what's going down. They keep their ears to the you know to the floor. They listen to everything. They read everything. Like good you know impressions, negative impressions. You know they're always looking to improve the product and make everything better for us. You know.
Yeah, because they really want to have their system be open to as many of these groups as they want, and just to keep that environment healthy. Awesome. So you don't really do a lot of YouTube stuff, correct?
As far as like streaming on YouTube, no, I do not.
Yeah, you're mostly, I see you mostly active over on Twitch, just kind of live as you're playing games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have my Twitch channel, which is my gamer tag, which is underscores. But yeah, sometimes it's kind of hard now because I'm like in school, like full time, trying to get my degree. So like, I don't really have extra time right now to like stream and stuff. I wish I could. It's kind of like always like fighting to find time to do that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I do stream on there. I mean, I try to stream there a couple times a week, but sometimes some weeks are harder than others.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's kind of a question I have to ask then. I know I kind of came into this a bit late, so I don't know if maybe you guys already talked about it, but for the fact that gamer scores, you know, people weren't really in that big of a community back then when the gamer scores and stuff first came. How did you actually get known? Because now you're pretty much known as one of the top gamers in the Xbox community, and you know you're almost like that god on Mount Olympus that everyone kind of look. You know, I'm just saying because of your gamer score, people, you know, people do. They're like, oh my god, I can trust his word, and yet, but how did you even get known? Like, did you go out and start talking to people, or did someone come to you and kind of announce, oh my god, your gamer score kind of thing?
So let's see. How did I get known? Well, I mean, I would have.
Oh,
Okay,
I think I
so
got him on a tough question.
I'm trying to think. So if I go back to the whole cheating thing, right? Like, I agreed with Stallion on that whole not, and like I sent him messages. We became friends. We started playing with each other. Um, and then like eventually, when the cheaters all got reset and the people that were left standing, there wasn't that many. So it was like Stallion, Smirnoff, TJ, me, and a few other people. Like so, then people could look at my gamercard.net and see that like where I stood, right? And then most people would probably tell you they know me from Gamerscore Popcast. It was a podcast me, Stallion, my buddy Omega D's, and Black Silva did, right? Because a lot of people know who Stallion is. It was a podcast we did strictly about like achievements and like Xbox news. So I would gather most people, at least most achievement people, because I know the type of person who listen to that show. Um, would know me from there. And like, you know, I'm on the leaderboards in TA, so you know, if you're on True Achievements or you know, like XboxAchievements.org, like people would know me from there as well. Because like, you know, when you're in achievement stuff, you kind of know who the top people are. You know, like as far as like the Xbox community, like you know, Tim Dog or like Southbound or you guys or you know, like PTK or anybody like that. Like I really didn't I guess like cross over into that until like recently, like last year. Like I kind of like kept to myself. I did my thing with those guys on the gamer score side, like Popcast stuff and talking about achievements. It wasn't until I actually met like Tim and Southbound that like you know now like it's more about like the Xbox community overall rather than like a subset of that community of a subset, right?
Hmm.
because like before it was like just the achievement community. Now it's like the whole community. So
Yeah.
that was a good question though. But yeah, most people probably know me from the Gamerscore podcast. But obviously, people listening to this may not because they probably have no idea what the Gamerscore podcast is. So,
So that
Well,
was really no. Go for it, She-Wolf.
Oh, I was just going to say, so from branching off of that then, how do you feel now being such an Xbox icon?
I wouldn't say I'm an Xbox icon. Like, no, you're pumping up my
But to you, you don't feel that. Like, you don't see yourself that. But I'm sure you have recognized that people do look up to you and stuff like that, that you are a big inspiration to a lot of gamers. And I'm sure you have to have some form of feeling towards that.
She's pumping up my ego here. Jeez.
Hey man, there's a reason you're the guy that I contacted to do this episode.
That's true. I mean, to be fair, Rand, like, you are well respected in the community, man. I haven't heard anything said bad about you, brother.
Well, I mean, thanks, but I mean, I don't know. It's tough to see. All right, so it's tough to see myself as like someone people look up to. I'll just say that. Like, I'm just a guy. You know, I always say this. I'm just a guy playing video games. You know, like it's tough for me to imagine like people that like look up to me. I'll just be honest with you. It's like really hard for me to imagine that. Maybe this is the type of person I am and how I was like, I've gone about this stuff. But then again, I guess it's not uncommon because like, you know, there are people I like look up to. But I mean, I just try to, I don't know, like I think of myself as a nice guy. Like, I'm willing to like take the time to talk to like anybody. You know, I don't think I'm like above it all. Like, I like having, I like talking to people. I like seeing what people are about. Like, you know, I've jumped into your guys' parties without invites just to like chat with you guys. You know, I'm just around. I like talking to people, and my subset of friends on live that I always game with, they don't like that. They don't like new people. They just like to keep the group, like the 5 group people, and they like to play, and that's it. And I was always one who was like, I like to go out and like talk to other people, meet other people, be social, like, you know, see what stuff is going on. So, you know, I jump into your guys' party. You're playing Rocket League with Mooch, and then I'll jump into Southbound's party and see what he's doing. And I jump into Tim's party or jump into these parties and listen. It's great to listen to like everybody like talk about things and their experiences on live. I always appreciate that stuff. And you know, I mean, Southbound always just like, people like you, and I'm like, listen, like, I don't like it. You see, now I'm fumbling with my words because like it's such a strange concept to me. You know, like, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, it's just gamers score. I mean, like look, I've said this plenty of times. Like, gamer score is meaningless in and of itself, right? It has no value.
Sure.
I mean, it's an
like
arbitrary.
$1 million for it or anything.
Yeah, it's an arbitrary number created by Microsoft, right?
Yeah.
But like, the only thing, like, I know, like, my gamer score only matters to me, and I don't expect anybody else. You know, I don't expect anybody else to like, you know, like, well, I care about Rand's gamer score. Like, it only means something to me. Like, and you know, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it means a lot to me. Like, I mean, that's like 10 years of my life essentially poured into the account and stuff. But you know, and that's why like when like GKB's on his road to 100,000, it's like that's awesome. Like, because like I know I've been there, I've done that. You know, like, I know the trials and tribulations of that, and you know, wanting to get to that number, and you know, I know, you know, that it's something that you want to do, and that means something to you, just like, you know, my score means something to me, right?
Right.
So yeah, I can see what you're trying to do, and if you're trying to pump me up, so like, you know, you're like, you ask me a really tough question later, and like, you know.
It's more or less because, you know, with the community's changing so much from, say, everything was about celebrities and everybody cared more about, you know, movies and TVs. Gaming has kind of taken over the mass media production of everything, and gamers are becoming pretty much those celebrities. Yeah. In a form of a way. YouTubers, streamers, they're becoming the new celebrities of the generation. And so truly, it's what the younger generations are looking up to. Like, our kids are already talking about that they want to be YouTubers and they want to be streamers and have their own show and stuff like that. And, that's how I see a lot of generations kind of coming to be, that it's going to eventually turn into gaming. So a lot more people probably look up to you than what you actually realize.
Well, I mean, I get that. I get like kids wanting to like do that because it's kind of like, and I'm not saying I like this, but I could see like some kids growing up and be like, I want to be Jay Leno or I want to be David Letterman and have my own show and have guests and stuff like that. And like that's kind of what YouTube offers in a way. It's like, people want their opinions to be heard. And before the internet and before Twitter and before YouTube, it was kind of tough for you to put your opinion out there. Now you can make a video, put it up on YouTube, and maybe nobody watches it, or maybe thousands, hundreds of thousands of people like it. Now you have a fan base. Same thing with Twitch. It's like, you're right. Like those people are celebrities. Like, one guy I watch on Twitch all the time is Brown Man. And he has a fan base that loves him and tune in to watch him. Not necessarily the game he's playing, but because they enjoy his brand of entertainment and they feel like they're gaming with him and stuff. Like I totally get that, and you're totally right. Like I could totally see a generation of kids growing up wanting to, have their own shows on YouTube and like twitching and having people watch them. Like yeah, you're 100%. Like and. Maybe I just got to come to terms with the fact that actually, people look up to me or whatever. But, like maybe it's because I kind of like I started gaming on the NES, so I'm like at a different point than some people.
Oh yeah.
Like Twitch I find is for like younger kids, right? Younger people. Personally, I would rather be playing a game than watching the game, right?
Right.
But I know that that's me. And that's not them. So if they want to also be entertained, and maybe they don't have the money to like buy the game, so they want to see how the game's played and stuff. I understand like all the different like reasons for it and stuff. It's just still just weird to me, I guess.
So I don't know if this was asked. Oh, I'm so sorry, Asma.
No, go for it.
I'm sorry. I was just listening to you earlier talking about the trophies and the achievements from Sony and Xbox. What made you choose Xbox then?
Well, I mean, essentially, okay, so I was a PlayStation fanboy, heavily.
You heard it here first, fans.
Oh, I've been very, very honest about that. Like PS1 and PS2 were my jam, right? They were my jam. I got a Halo. I got the Xbox for Halo 2. I fell for the hype. I mean, it was everywhere. It was like, play this game or be ostracized by everybody because that's all we're going to be talking about. So I was like, all right, and I had a job then, and I was making good money, so I was like, all right, I'll pick up an Xbox, I'll try this out, right? And I loved it. I fell in love with it, but like it really, I still in the back of my mind wanted a PlayStation 3 because I still saw myself as the PlayStation guy. It wasn't until like they launched at $600 and like had no games, and I was like, yeah, no thanks. Like that, the early years of the PS3 were terrible, and like I was still like, because I still remember this. I would be gaming on the 360, getting achievements, but still in the back of my mind being like, man, I can't wait for the PS3. And then the PS3 was revealed, and the games it didn't have, and the price tag it did have, I was like, yeah, no, move on, bye, Felicia.
Never mind. Nice.
Oh, cool.
So that's what I really feel like we're getting out of that, what you were saying before about sort of like, I guess being popular is what I'll sum that up as, is that there's not like a light switch really that goes on of like, oh, like look how many whatever like Twitch followers I have or whatever. It's not like there comes a day when you wake up and go like, oh, like I'm an influence in the community, but it's a very natural feel, and you just sort of are like, I'm just here, this guy doing the thing that I love to do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think that until She-Wolf just told me, like, no, people like you, Rand. I've been like, oh, what? News to me. I mean, maybe I don't know. Like, I get a lot of invites on a lot of podcasts, so maybe I should have realized it from that. I guess people like hearing. I guess you guys like hearing me talk because I will ramble and ramble and ramble about stuff.
Well, that's like for me, the reason that I really wanted to reach out to you is that I feel like I guess as you would say, achievement hunting community, I don't want to say you're like underrepresented, but it's not really something that is on the front page of everything of everything Xbox. It's not a community that's really
And it
looked at
should be, damn it.
a lot. Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Is I really wanted to take the time to, I guess to get the plug in to shine that spotlight on you and really show that, because and what I like what you've brought up here is that it's not about just like when I was 5 years old I realized I must have every achievement in every game. Like, it's about a love of gaming, and that's just the way that naturally evolved for you is into doing achievements.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm with you, man. Like, Microsoft should like give more spotlight to achievements. Like, I've had this conversation with them before. Like, I find that the gamer score leaderboard and comparing games, that stuff is way too hidden now.
Yeah.
I wish it was more forefront. I wish, I've asked plenty of people to add the achievement rarity to achievements, because I would like to see, like, it would be fun to like know, like, hey man, this achievement I just got, only 1% of people have it.
Absolutely.
Or, like, because then you could even like have a thing where like people would go out of their way to collect those, because those would be like rare, kind of like Pokemon cards or whatever.
Exactly.
And it's something they could do, and I know they have that information, and for whatever reason they don't choose to implement it is beyond me. I know Sony has it, so maybe they don't want to feel like they're copying Sony, but I mean, Sony copied them anyways with the whole trophy system
Trophies
in the first
anyway.
place. But I mean, they could make the achievement system and gamerscore mean a lot more than it currently does. I mean, achievements and gamerscore only mean something because a lot of people have said it means stuff. I mean, there are communities that have popped up around those things, like Xbox Achievements and True Achievements, and maybe a couple other websites. Don't remember, but those are the two big ones. I mean, there is a large community like dedicated to the idea of getting as many of those as possible. Helping other people get those. And in a way of like connecting with other gamers in pursuit of like that goal, which is great. Like, that's amazing, and I love True Achievements, right? I think GKB, you like True Achievements as well, right?
Oh, absolutely, man.
Like, there you can find like-minded people there. Everybody's about achievements. It's a great,
party times and play games and stuff. Yeah,
it's a great tool, and I wish Microsoft would, highlight gamerscore and achievements more than they do. Like, I feel like they're like it's an area they could dominate, or and I'm not saying it as like, hey, like, well, if they did that, then like you directly are like, since you're so high up, you would get the spotlight on you. But like, that's not what I'm talking about, because to be honest with you, like, even though it may seem like I like the spotlight, because I'll go on everybody's podcast like that, Ask Me or whatever like that, and I like talking about stuff. Like, I don't like being in the spotlight for the most part. Like, it's kind of weird, like, and I don't like. I mean, I don't get that many. I mean, I get messages on Xbox Live, and I answer all of them if people are like, obviously, like, if someone says like, F you, like, I'm not going to respond to that. But if, like, you send me a question or a comment, like, yeah, I'll respond to that. But I don't want to get to the situation where I don't want, like, all of a sudden, like, now, like, hundreds of thousands of people know me and I'm getting messages every day, because then I wouldn't be able to enjoy, like, my gaming. I would get on and it would just be, like, message after message after message and stuff like that. I don't. Yeah, like, I don't want that. Like, I've never wanted that. Like, I never wanted to be one, because when you're B1, when you're number one, there's a lot of things that come with that I don't care for.
A lot of things change.
Yeah, I mean, I just want more people to like gamerscore and achievements, and that's why I wanted Microsoft to maybe focus, give it more attention. Not because of me, but because, like, I think the system is great, and I think more people could potentially like it.
Yeah, and not the last thing I want to do is downplay a website like True Achievements, but that seems like a system, and like the functionality that's built into that website seems like something that Microsoft would be able to do first party. It's something they'd be able to do themselves relatively easily.
No, they totally could. Maybe not everything on that website, but yeah, they totally could. And maybe they don't want to, because maybe they feel that, like, it's great that other people have taken that slack up for them.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, they could, some of those stats and stuff Microsoft has, they could easily showcase And I don't think, if they did, I don't think people, because it's not necessarily the reason why people like true achievements. Like it's, as I always said, it's like the Facebook for achievements. I like
Yeah.
logging on there and seeing what my friends have done, what games they played, all that stuff. Like then looking at the stats of my own, like I really like that way. I used to actually be on XboxAchievements.org all the time, but that website is not what it once was.
All right. Websites come and go, as we know. So, kind of looking, I guess, more towards the future than Rand, from what you do on Twitch, do you have any like big future plans, or as you look forward to the million, are there any big future plans or anything that you're really looking forward to doing on your channel, or just as a presence as part of the Xbox community?
As for Twitch, I just need to get a schedule nailed down and stick to it so I can stream more often. Cause right now it's I'm really busy with school and everything, so it's kind of hard for me to do that. But I know people want to watch me play the games I play, and I'm well aware of that fact. And I'm trying to nail down times. I just want to as for streaming, I just want to get better. Because you always get better at stuff. I want to be a better streamer. I want to be more engaging. I want people to enjoy their time when they're watching me. I want to feel like it's also informative, because I play a lot of different games. So some people will come in there and be like, "Hey, tell me about Reagan Gorbachev, for example."
Oh, that's me all the time.
Yeah,
Every time I come here.
so I can go in there and I can play that game, and then the people can come in there and I can give you the lowdown on it and show you, hopefully you think it's, I'm informative and entertaining, so you stick around and come back later for the different type of games. As for the million, I've had many different plans over the course of, once I kind of hit 800,000, and it kind of became more of a reality-ish.
Yeah.
There was always the all right, I'm planning on doing this, I'm gonna plan on doing that, and I always have things in my head of what I want to do. Currently, I am working on something behind the scenes, trying to make it something special. Awesome. Because I would be the sixth or seventh person, so at that point it's not that special, I guess, but I'm gonna try to make it special for myself, and anybody that cares. Apparently, as She Wolf says, there are a lot of people that care about you, so that anybody that cares about me, so that's now I'm not ready to say what that is yet, because
Of course.
but as far I'm throwing around ideas in my head about what game I'll break it with and what achievement. I have a couple in mind. I've been thinking about Halo 5, for example. Possible I might use one of the achievements in that to do it. I was thinking about Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition because I love it so much. There's maybe do it with that.
Would both be excellent games, yeah.
Yeah, Quantum Break, because I like Remedy a lot. Because I always thought I when you cross a mark 800, 900, 700, 600, I always thought it was I kind of looked for a cool achievement name or achievement picture. It's for 900,000, right? I chose Rare Replay Battletoads The Infinite Turbo Tunnel, right?
Sweet.
You had to complete a lap, but mainly because it was hard, which is great, because hard achievements should be there. Everything shouldn't be given for free. You should actually have to earn some of it, but I like the name of the achievement. It was called Beyond the Impossible, which I thought was a great achievement name. For
Absolutely.
900,000. Kind of has a double meaning.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I haven't really nailed down what I achievement I wanted to break the million. I am kind of thinking of hitting it right on the nose, a million. Obviously that I want that clean look, right?
Right.
I don't
That
want
1,000,001.
1,000,005. But hopefully when I'm leading up to it, I don't screw up the math and somehow screw up the whole process and have to change plans at the last second or whatever.
Yeah, that's something I think I could throw in. That's something on mine, not being an achievement hunter myself. Somewhere in the mix of my Xbox life, I picked up a 7 gamer score or a 3 gamer score. Something I don't remember where it was, but now my gamer score is an odd number.
Right. Yeah.
So, like, how do you like? Do you have any feeling on that? On like those
I hate
random?
that. I hate that stuff. They should not like it. Your gamer score should either end in 0 or 5. Like
Yeah.
I absolutely hate it when like developers will be like, here's 3 points and here's 1 point. It's like, ugh, it
Yeah.
just makes my skin crawl, you
It's
know?
like I don't
And
want to play the game.
yeah, like it's like, oh, I'll play the game because I can get 1,000, but like, no, like right now, like I'll be honest, like I will avoid games like that because I don't want what the potential like, because then you got to go and find other games to like fix your score.
Even
It's
it
like,
out,
no,
yeah.
Yeah,
like
that's what I've been looking at doing.
yeah, and I've told people, and I've told a couple developers, like, what do you no, like zeros and fives. That's all you need to end it in. Like, I don't know why some people are like, you have to like, oh, 7 points or 9 points. Like, no, like that is no, don't do that. That's wrong. Wrong
Yeah.
developer. Don't do that.
And that was one that I think that was the first time I got turned on to the True Achievements website. Is that I was like one day I was just like I gotta figure this out. Like I gotta find an achievement, but where the heck do I go to do that? And that was where I ended up. That was where I ended up on that site, just searching through games looking for something with like 3 or 7.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they do have that stuff
They have
on
the
the
ability to
website,
search
so
through.
you can find it. Yeah.
Awesome. So the last thing that I had written down here was if like people who come to either I guess I would say your Twitch or people who know you through Twitter, if there was like one thing that you could say to your viewers or to your followers, like what would that be?
I mean, I want to, thank everybody for the support. I mean, most people, 90% of people, 99% of people have been really supportive in what I've been doing. So I want to thank them for that. Um, what was the last part of the question? I kind of it slipped my mind for a second.
No, you're fine. No, that I mean that was really it. Just like if you had something that you wanted
Oh, okay.
to
Yeah,
say to them, what would it be?
I mean, thank you because I really does mean a lot to me that people care not only about my opinions on stuff, but like they want to see me do well. They want me, they're excited for me and what like I'm doing. Like it means more than I could properly like say on any like show. Like honestly, like
Yeah.
I mean, I can't really express it. It means a lot to me. It means I didn't say the world, but like you know I never thought like something like this could happen, and I never really wanted it to because like I am kind of a personal person. Like there's not there's not that many people who even know what I look like, right?
Mm,
Like because I always thought like when you do this, like yeah, I'm out there and people listen to me, but like I always kind of kept my like who I kind of like really am like the
that's
secret.
separate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like sometimes you get on Twitter and people can twist pictures. Like you see what some people do with like Tim Dog,
Yeah.
and it's not like fun or flattering. So I always kind of like. Plus, I was always worried about like social engineering. Like
Mm-hmm.
if they actually knew number one my real name, maybe where I live, there's a possibility they could hack into my account. So I kind of like tried to keep as much information about myself as private as possible, so that would never happen.
Yeah, you
I
got
mean,
to keep those things safe.
outside of the fact that the password on my Xbox is quite hard and you will never guess it. Well, no, I shouldn't say that because now someone will try to get it. But, it's not like it's not 1 2 3 4 5. So,
Dang it! Oh, that's my idea. It's done.
But I mean, yeah. So that's what I would want to say is just thank you. Thank you for everybody for listening to this show. Thank you for supporting me all these years. It means a lot to myself. So
Awesome.
that's what I want to say.
Sweet. She-Wolf, GKB, did you guys have anything that you wanted to add? Any other questions or anything?
No, man, that's
Nope.
fantastic.
Pretty good. All right, so I guess that's what I've got here for you today, Rand. So, I want to say thank you so much for coming on today. Really giving the opportunity to shed some more light on the achievement hunting community and on your journey. And it's just really great to hear that even if you have the exact same gamer score, like numerically, as someone else, that's still really personal, and that's still your journey separate from anyone else's.
Yeah, well, thanks a lot for having me, dude. I really enjoyed talking about this with you guys. So it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Sweet.
Absolutely.
Do you, GKB, She-Wolf, do you guys have anything you want to throw in as we head out?
Yeah, Rand is really awesome, dude. I respect him a lot. He's a fantastic streamer. He's very engaging. Go out and sub and check everything out he has. He's a good dude.
Yes, of course. I'll have the link to his Twitch channel as well as his Twitter handle will be down in the description of this video for anybody watching at home. So thank you guys very much for coming by for this first episode of the Community Spotlight. We'll be coming back to you guys in a couple weeks with another guest. So I am Asthmatic, and I'll be catching you guys next time. Thank you very much, everybody.